Hey everyone, today I'm going to talk about finite photography. What is finite photography? I'm not sure. Just kind of came up with it one day talking to some friends, and we started thinking about this concept of when you take a picture. You take a picture of something. Um, what is a picture? It's just a bunch of pixels on a screen, right? And if you think about it, it seems like you could take a picture of anything. You could take a picture of a book. You could take a picture of a page from that book. You could take a picture of a person. You could take a picture of a picture. It seems like you could take a picture of pretty much anything, and it's infinite numbers of things, right? You might think there are infinite numbers of things that you could take a picture of. But what if I were to tell you I don't think that's true? What if I were to tell you that there might be a finite number of things that you could possibly take a picture of before it became redundant? So think about this. Okay, bear with me. This is just a thought I had, and so I'm not really sure what it means, but it just seems like really interesting stuff. Maybe you could help me explore this concept or contribute to it or think about it yourself. Again, finite photography. So when you take a picture, that picture appears on your screen, on your LCD, on your computer screen or your phone screen as a bunch of pixels, and those pixels are lit up, right? Now, let's explore what a pixel is, right? You've got one pixel and it's one unit of light. It's either gonna be black, right? That pixel can be black, or if it's on, let's say it's white, right? Let's say a pixel could only do two things: be off or on, right? So it would be black or white. So that's it. That's all that pixel could do, right? If that pixel could be off or on, there are only two options for that pixel. And if your screen was only one pixel big, it would either be black or white, right? If your screen was 2 pixels big, right? If your screen was 2 pixels big, well then you might have the first pixel could be white, the second pixel could be white. You could have the first pixel black and the second pixel white. You could have the first pixel white and the second pixel black like this. Or you could have both pixels black. So there are only a certain number of variations that these pixels can have, right? So of course a pixel isn't just black or white, but you've got pixels with different shades of colors, grays, white, you've got black, which should mean that the pixel is off. But I think you would agree, right, that even though a pixel isn't just black or white, there are only a certain number of colors or shades or brightnesses that pixel could be, right? Whatever that number is. If that is true, and there are only a certain number of shades or colors that pixel can be, well, you see where I'm getting with this? That means that your LCD screen on your phone, your LCD screen on your computer, it's a finite number of pixels. Each pixel can be a finite number of colors. All right? You see where I'm going with this? What that means is theoretically, if that's true, there are only a finite number of combinations of pixels, right? There are a finite number. It can't be infinite, right? There can't be an infinite number of combinations because each pixel can only be a certain number of different things, right? Certain number of colors. And what's a screen? A screen is just a collection of pixels. At some point, you have to run out of combinations. You've done every single combination. So you might think you could take a picture of someone, you could take a picture of your grandma, you could take a picture of your truck, you could take a picture of your room, your lunch. If you have a really fancy lunch, everyone likes to Instagram their lunch, you might think, wow, there's no way anyone will ever reproduce this. This picture is mine, and This is a unique experience to me. It's one of many infinite experiences that no one will ever see again. But what if I were to tell you, if you could make a computer algorithm, all right? Bear with me. This is my oddball Sunday thought of the, week. If you could make a computer algorithm that comes up with every pixel shade in every combination for all the pixels for your camera, well, then it might be possible to come up with a library, a really, really huge library, but a library that has every possible picture, and it's a finite library. It's not an infinite library, okay? Again, this library would be in the quadrillions of terabytes, right? I mean, it would be in the 10 to the, thousands decimal place, or 10 to the thousandths power of numbers of pictures, but it would be finite, right? Because a pixel is finite. And if a pixel is finite, then photos you could take are finite, right? Think about that for a second. You know what that means, the implications of that? If I were to make that computer algorithm and it made my huge library, massive library, which there isn't enough storage on Earth right now to probably store that kind of library. But let's say I had this library, right? Let's say it's the year 2100, and you have access to this quadruple terabyte, quadrillion terabyte hard drive, and you were to somehow make a computer algorithm, and that computer algorithm makes a library of every pixel combination possible for a fancy screen, well, you would in fact have every photo that exists in that library. You would have every photo that has existed from the past. You would have every photo that's being taken right now. You would have every photo that could be taken in the future. You could have every photo that's not even taken. You would have a photo of you and me, even though we never took a picture together. You could have a photo with you, me, and Neil Armstrong. You could have a photo of you, me, and on the moon, right? Because if you could take a picture, that picture is a combination of pixels, and that combination of pixels would be in my really big library somewhere. So you could come to me one day and say, hey, Dr. D, here's a picture of me and my mom I just took this morning. And I could look into my database of trillions upon trillions of photos, and I could pull out that same photo and say, well, that's nice. I already have that photo of you and your mom from this morning when you were at that restaurant. If Elon Musk comes out with the next new Tesla, and it's like, check this new Tesla design, I could go into my infinitely big, almost, or finitely big library, and I could pull the same picture with the same designs for the same Tesla, and I could say, here it is. I already had it in my library, which I made 10 years ago. If a poet came up with a new poem, and the words were on a page, I could pull that same poem out from my library and say, look, I already have that poem. If an artist came up with a new painting, I would have a picture of that painting. I would have a picture of the artist standing next to the painting. I would have a picture of the artist as a child standing next to the painting. Isn't that amazing? I could have a picture of the artist as a child and adolescent and an adult and an old man standing next to that painting. Because all of those things are a possible combination of pixels, and all of those things would be in my huge library of photos, right? Which are just a random collection of pixels. Now, you might be wondering, like, how am I going to find that picture? And that's a whole nother quandary. Yeah, you would have to find some kind of algorithm that pulls photos based on similarities or something like that. Because, yeah, it would be just terabytes and terabytes and terabytes of just random stuff. Some of the pictures would just be a bunch of random pixels that don't make any sense, that look like, old snow on TVs, when the TVs were just black and white and fuzzy. A lot of pixels or pictures would have pixels like that. So a mass majority of those pictures wouldn't make any sense at all. But a lot of them would also make sense. Get this also. Imagine a new movie comes out. A new movie comes out. Uh, I would have that movie in my database. You're like, how can you have a movie in your database if a movie is a, action sequence? Well, I would have each still, because each still is a different photograph, right? I would have every still from every movie ever made, being made right now, and made in the future, never made. I'd have every movie ever made and ever could be made in that finite library. So think about that for a second. So this is a concept I coined called finite photography. And it's this concept that you might think there are an infinite number of things that you could take a picture of and no one could ever reproduce that experience, or at least maybe no one can reproduce that experience. But are you sure no one can reproduce that photo? Right? So think about that. Leave a comment or question below. Let me know what you think of this finite photography idea. Again, it's just an idea. It's just a fascinating idea. If you think about it, if a pixel is finite, then, photos are finite. Yes, as screen technology gets better and you have more pixels, you have 1080 and 4K TVs and things, you're going to have more pixels and that number is going to jump, but it's always going to be a finite number. The library is always going to be a finite library. And so yeah, just think about that. Let me know what you think in the comments or questions below. Leave a like if you like this, and please subscribe. Let me know, and thanks again for watching.